Hi, everybody. I'm Annie Lareau, the Artistic Director at Seattle Public Theater. And today I am interviewing Teal Sherer. Hi. Did I say the last name right? Sherer, right?
Share.
Sherer. Oh, see?
Yeah.
Sherer.
I'm a sharer. I share things. No.
Love it. Teal is an actor and a writer and an advocate for the inclusion of performers with disabilities in the entertainment industry. She is best known for the award-winning online comedy series, My Gimpy Life, based on her experience as a wheelchair user in Hollywood. Teal caught the acting bug at the Oglethorpe University when she took a theater class and started performing with Full Radius Dance, a professional physically integrated dance company. Since then, she has starred in plays like Antigone, Proof, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and most recently, the Canadian premiere of the Pulitzer Prize-winning Cost of Living. Teal has been on the TV shows NCIS New Orleans, Survivors, Remorse, The Guild, and the HBO film Warm Springs. She is on the board of directors of Seattle Public Theater, yay! And as a freelance writer, regularly contributes to New Mobility magazine. Hi, Teal.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So great to have you. What people in our realm might not know is that you were to star in our version of Cost of Living, which unfortunately got postponed.
Yes.
Because of this pandemic.
Oh, COVID.
Oh, COVID. So why don't you tell our audiences, since they have yet to meet you, a little bit about yourself, like how you got into theater, what brought you to Seattle?
Yeah, so as the bio said, I'm a wheelchair user. When I was 14, almost 15 years old, I was in a car accident. I broke my back and I have a spinal cord injury. I really didn't start acting till college. I took a theater class and just fell in love. I think studying theater, studying acting, and then at the same time, I started performing with a physically integrated dance company called Full Radius Dance, which has both dancers with and without disabilities. And so I think, taking the acting classes, dancing really caused me to confront my disability in a way that felt very empowering and creative and also fun. And so I was like, just hooked. And then also to see audience reactions to me being on stage was very impactful. As you said in my bio, when I was in college, I starred in Antigone, and I would have audience members come up to me afterwards. And I heard this a couple of times. They would say, oh, when you're on stage, your wheelchair just disappears. And I just see the character. And at first I was like, what do they mean my wheelchair disappears? And then I kind of realized, whatever perception they had of disability kind of got washed away throughout the performance, and they saw the character, they saw the human. And I was like, wow, this really does have the power to maybe change people's perceptions of disability, open their mind. And that I have been acting ever since. All that was happening in Atlanta. I was going to school in Atlanta. And then after college, I booked an HBO film called Warm Springs, which gave me my Screen Actors Guild card. And then I was like, okay, I'm moving to LA. And I moved to LA, where I did theater and other things. And like you said, I created a web series called My Gimpy Life, which is loosely based on all the awkward experiences I've encountered being a person with a disability. I'm here now in Seattle.
We're so happy that you're here. And you just joined our board of directors, which I am so grateful for, to help us move into the future, as well as hopefully sometime soon we'll be able to do Cost of Living and everyone will get to see your incredible talent. Let's talk a little bit about that play, because it's such a powerful piece, and you've been lucky enough to perform in one other production or two? One.
So it was the same production, but we did two different runs of it.
Got it.
It was the Canadian premiere. We did a run in Vancouver and then a run in Edmonton. And the run in Edmonton was January this year. January, February. I was thinking about that. It's so, like, how was that this year?
I know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the play and what you love about it. And
yeah, well, it's written by Martina Mayhawk. It won the Pulitzer Prize in 2018. It follows two storylines. One of them is a wealthy graduate student who has cerebral palsy and his new caregiver. And then the other storyline is the character I played, Ani, who is in her early 40s. She's going through a divorce and she's in this awful car accident and becomes a quadriplegic. And when her caregiver doesn't show up, her husband, or soon to be ex-husband, has to come and help take care of her. And the first time I read it, I was just struck by how human it felt to me. These are perspectives and storylines and bodies that you normally don't see on stage. And though it may seem like heavy material, Martina writes in such a authentic way that all of the layers and all the different emotions come out, and there's a real vulnerability and a lot of humor to it, which just felt so real to me, because I know in my own personal life, when I've gone through awful times, the humor is what has gotten me through it. And so that just,
our audiences might know Martina's work through Ironwood, which we did a couple of seasons ago, which was also a very powerful play. Her writing is it's just so sharp and clean and powerful, and there's nothing extra about it. I think she just gets right in there. Yeah, I'm really excited for us to do this piece someday.
Yeah, and it will be interesting because it may even, who knows, after what we've been through this past year, even have a different sense to it in some weird way.
Do you have favorite bits about the play that really stand out with you, moments?
Oh gosh, so it would be, I think, one of the things that's also that I love about the play is there's two scenes. One in which the character has cerebral palsy, gets showered by his caregiver, and then the parallel kind of scene to it from my character storyline is my character gets bathed by her husband. And I think there's something about the vulnerability of just being in a bathtub on stage, being bathed. There's that vulnerability, but there's a power, even though like my character's getting bathed, she still like holds the power in the scene. And I just think it's so touching and moving, and just shows you how those little like just quiet moments of just being in a bathtub, and you can't just move around and do all these things. There's just something about that just is so scary as an actor. And I think will actually be really powerful in your theater, because the audience will literally be in that bathroom with these characters. But I just feel like that scene is so powerful. It's written almost like a piece of music. There's all these different notes, and then it does this turn, and then we're here, and that's my favorite.
Yeah, awesome. I can't wait to do it. And it's complicated for us too, because there's actual water on stage. I think people don't actually understand the full capacity and the complexity of putting some actual running water on stage.
Yeah.
Very complex. So, but we have a plan, so it'll happen. It will happen one way or another. Tell me a little bit about your advocacy work with sort of inclusion for performers with disabilities. I know you've done a lot, and I think it would be really interesting for our audiences to hear.
Yeah, so people with disabilities are the largest minority in the nation, about 20% of the population. And yet we're the least represented in the entertainment industry. So I think I was very lucky at the college I went to in Atlanta, Oglethorpe, because even though it was a historic campus, the theater was brand new. We shared it with the Georgia Shakespeare Festival. It was like this brand new theater. It was totally wheelchair accessible. I could get to the backstage, the dressing rooms. I was like, and to me, that was just how it was, because that was my college. And then I had professors who were just so open-minded and inclusive and just made me feel like I was a part of it and that I was supposed to be there. And then you kind of get out into the real world and you realize like that's not how everything is. Like most theaters are not accessible. Most casting offices are not accessible. A lot of sets aren't accessible. So you automatically have to kind of put on that advocacy hat and make people aware that, hey, we exist, and hey, we want opportunities to go to acting class too, and we want the opportunity to perform in your theater too, and as well as opening producers and directors' minds too. They're like, hey, we exist, and please consider us. Not only just for the disability role, but maybe for the role of the teacher or the doctor or the mother, because we are those people too. Yeah. So there's just there was a lot of, I just call it educating that I was like, oh, I thought it was going to be, let's just say I thought things would be a lot easier. But I think everybody thinks that as a performer, that things are probably just going to be easier. But yeah. So you automatically just, start advocating for you and your fellow people with disabilities. And so I was involved in Screen Actors Guild, and after I had performers with disabilities committees, and we would try to do workshops with casting directors and do scenes and yeah, a bunch of, different things.
Nice. And you've written a couple articles. There's a New Mobility magazine. Is that correct?
Yeah.
People are interested in reading more about this subject matter and what they can do to help in the advocacy. Is that correct?
I think, yeah, New Mobility is a magazine for active wheelchair users. I write for them. I'm their media columnist, which is great because there is a slow and steady movement in the disability world and in media. Like we're starting to see more inclusion and more interesting and authentic roles being written, and things are, I feel like, moving in the right direction. So it's great to be able to interview different people and write about that and put my voice out there. And
so great. Yeah. And we hope to do more at Seattle Public Theater too. You and I have been talking about making our space more accessible and get ready for cost of living, but also for future productions. And we have a long way to go, but we have a plan at least, which is good.
I think the biggest thing is just being open to it. And because not every theater is going to be accessible. And that's okay. Like that doesn't mean I'm maybe not willing to work there, but it's the openness to saying, hey, what can we do? Like, can we build this ramp? Can we do this? Or just that openness of, when an audition notice comes out, like, welcoming actors with disabilities to submit. If you need any accommodations, please email this number. Or if you need to know, so it's just putting those out there that, if I see that, I'm like, oh, like,
right, I can,
cool, I'll, that would be cool, so.
That's awesome. And so I've been asking everybody this, but I just want to know all the, younger artists out there just either in college or getting out of college, like what might be some of your wise words or advice you might give them and in navigating maybe both LA and here, I think that would be for them.
So I think one of the frustrating things about a career in acting is that there's no like direct path. Like if you do A, B, and then C will happen. And then so I've really been thinking about how important it is to embrace carving out your own path and really trusting your instinct and following your passion and not being afraid to like pivot if things aren't necessarily going your way or you want to shake things up a little bit. And some of the examples like that I've had is, I wasn't getting opportunities I wanted. So, okay, let's create some of my own opportunities, collaborate with some fellow actors, to maybe make a short film, take an improv class, join an improv group. Like, what can you do to stay creative and feel like you have control, and to get yourself out there. And also I was listening to you interviewed and All Good. And I loved her, I think too, because I lived in LA for 8 years. Mm-hmm. And I kind of decided, like, I didn't want to give up acting, but I just didn't want to be based there anymore. Mm-hmm. And it was really hard to leave, because there was a part of me that was like, oh, I'm going to miss out on all these opportunities. Am I just giving up? And was talking about when she left New York and she came to Seattle, and she said something great, like, you can do what you love anywhere. Mm-hmm. And I'm just really glad that I trusted that instinct to move, mm-hmm. because it's turned out to be the right decision. And there are, sure, I may have missed out on opportunities not being in Los Angeles, but other opportunities have come my way, and I'm happier. So that's good. That's good.
Happier is good.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've been like, we were just talking about this. I just turned 40 yesterday. So I've been reflecting back on, I've been doing this for like almost 20 years now. So wow. I've just been like reflecting and to, not be afraid of failing, because it's going to happen, and you just have to put yourself out there, and you'll learn from it, and you'll grow from it. And,
I love that. Awesome. We have all been in all the other interviews too, we've talked about, and I want to hear what you have to say about what are your hopes and dreams for theater and maybe the Seattle theater community, once we are able to get back to performing in live theater. I know one of my hopes is that all of Seattle will get to know your work and, embrace you as an artist, and I will get to see you all over town. That is definitely something that I'm hopeful for.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, at the beginning of COVID, we were all kind of wishing, like, okay, when are we going to get back to normal? I just want to get back to normal. And now we've kind of realized, like, we're not ever going to get back to normal, nor should we ever get back to normal. And how can we take what we've learned this year and grow from it, mm-hmm. and bring it with us into the future? And like, I know some of the stuff we were working on the board is like racial equity. Let's get more diverse stories on that stage, more diverse bodies on that stage and behind the scenes. And also taking things this year that aren't bad. Like, we've learned, there's some good things from this year, like all of the like things being now offered online, like online acting classes are in particular for people with disabilities, in making, they're more accessible in some ways. Mm-hmm. So there are things I think we can take.
Absolutely. And you and I had an earlier conversation about that, about how this online platform has also allowed more accessibility for performances. And how do we, when we come back to performing live, how do we hold on to what we've learned and maybe, marry the digital accessibility with the live performances? Like, where can we bring those things together in order to create more accessibility, to our work that we hadn't really thought about? At least I can say that I hadn't thought about before. And so now it's like, oh, right, of course. I'm not sure why I hadn't thought about it, but now I have, and how do you continue to do that? I think it's a blessing in disguise, one of the few. Yeah. And being in rooms with, I'm looking forward to being in rooms with collaborative artists to create art again. And, mm-hmm. But do so with an understanding that there has to be more equity in the room in order to make it a viable, real a viable experience that is, you know, equitable for all, that represents a lot of different people and speaks to a lot of different people. So I know the Seattle community is working really hard at that, and it is my hope that the rest of the country is doing so as well, and that it doesn't stop, you know.
Yeah.
Continues to move forward.
Totally.
Because I know sometimes we can get caught up in,
like, we get so excited, like, yeah, we're gonna do this, and then it's like, oh.
You know, I keep saying this whole time, just one foot in front of it, just keep pushing a little bit, small bits, push it forward, just a little bit more, push it forward. You know, if you just keep pushing it forward, eventually you'll have gone a mile, you know, and then 2 miles, and to not feel like you have to race to the end. Not that there really is an end, right?
No, there's,
it's ongoing work.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any other thoughts? We good? Well, thanks for joining us, Teal. This has been awesome. I can't wait for our audience to see you in Cost of Living. I can't wait for everyone to know you're here in Seattle with us now. And thanks for talking to me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay, take care.
Okay, bye.